So we had the weigh-ins for tomorrow night, well, technically Sunday morning. The fight in Riyadh, Canelo versus William Skull. Now, it's a good undercard, don't get me wrong. It's a great undercard. It's a really, really strong, really good undercard. But one of the fights that I'm most intrigued in fact, the fight I'm most intrigued in, is obviously Martin Bakole versus F.A. Ajagba. I done a video talking about that, giving my 2 cents on it last night. And now we've had the weigh-in, and I want to just elaborate further on my rationale, my thoughts. But about the weights, one thing, and how I perceive this fight will go. I don't want to go and do a big intro like I did in the last fight. As I said, I thought that Bakole would win this fight. If, there'd been no Parker fight, I would have confidently picked him to win. The weights now have me... It's a weird one. So, Martin Bakole against Joseph Parker, and I seen Eddie Hearn having a go at Billy Nelson. I can't really argue with Eddie Hearn, to be honest with you, having a go at Billy Nelson, basically saying you took a guy, basically flew him with no training into Saudi Arabia to have a fight and you're surprised he lost. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he was saying. He weighed in 315 against Joseph Parker, very heavy, clearly had done no training, was tired on the way to the ring, probably got all sleep, etc, etc, etc. For this fight, he's weighed in at 299 pounds. Now, he has weighed in at that before against Carlos Takam, and he looked very good against Carlos Takam. He didn't look the fastest, but the weight, you could tell, was not necessarily an issue. And Carlos Takam, we know, is a very durable man. He takes some beating. He really does. Not for the faint-hearted as Carlos Takam, to say the least. And he'd only just beat, I think, the year prior, or maybe even that year. I think it might have been the year prior. It might have been actually, that year. He beat Tony Oka. So it wasn't like you were getting, a wash to bits Carlos Takam. And he went in there, 299, demolition job. And again, a very tough veteran, a very hard man in Carlos Takam. He looked good. Against Jared Anderson, he was 284, I believe. He was in the 280. Still very heavy, but still workable. Now in this fight, he's a stone lighter, which does have me wondering kind of what were they actually doing in camp with the sweatsuit if he's only coming in a stone lighter. That to me is a bit more of a what the hell's going on here, because he'd literally started camp in March for this fight, which is now May, and only a couple of weeks ago, here's my guy, a heavyweight in a big sweatsuit, bucket full of sweat, right? Not a nice image, but that's what it was. One, why in God's name are you doing that? You're a heavyweight. And second, why are you doing that when you only come in a stone lighter? Now, I'm glad he's not come in any lighter than that, because God knows I'd be like, Jesus Christ, what did you do? Did you just whip it all off? No, I think this is a decent enough weight for him, 299. I think that the stone of weight he's taken off is probably the excess weight. Well, he's probably still carrying some excess weight, truth be told, Martin Bakole, because I'd say even 280s is probably a bit too high. I mean, he was in the 270s before, and he still looked okay, I mean, the days of him in the 250s, which I think he did weigh in at one stage, I mean, they're gone. They're a distant memory now for this guy. But I think the fact he's not taking this weight off too quick, he is still very heavy. But I'm not as worried as I was, because I was genuine. Now, again, there is a lot of variables to talk about. How is the punt resistance? How is the heart of Martin Bakole? I think that's something we do need to ask the question of. Again, he took this fight he took the Parker fight on literally 2 days' notice, no sleep, no anything. So where is the hunger for battle when, that's there, and, your hunger is only for the money? It's clearly that. It's not for anything other than, your paycheck. I get that. So some people would argue, well, look, that was an isolated incident. Fair enough. He still did go down from a headshot. Again, no training, no sparring, probably not as well conditioned for the headshot. 100%. Take that into consideration. But you do have to ask the questions. And again, that was only 2 months ago. 2 months ago? Yeah, it was only 2 months ago. So it's not a great deal of time. Had this fight been in the UK, he wouldn't be fighting. The board wouldn't sanction him. So I do wonder how healed is Bakole? How fight ready is he? Because with Billy Nelson, Billy Nelson's, yeah. I was going to say, would he be wise to let him spar? But it's Billy Nelson. So there you go. So it does have me wondering how ready is Bakole. But I think the weight is not a bad weight, all things considered. And I am a little bit more comfy in picking him to win this fight tomorrow night. Again, I say it with no great degree of certainty. I think maybe I'm now maybe 65-35, where before I would have been 60-40, maybe even closer than that. I think now I'm a little bit more sure in my pick of Bacoli, but FA Jagba weighed in at 240. He's a very limited heavyweight, right? Let's not beat around the bush here. He is limited, but he does have some speed. He's tall, and my God, he has punching power. As I said, look at some of his knockouts. The knockouts he's delivered on, guys, yikes. Some of them are massive knockouts. Like, I mean, Wilder-esque with the right hand. So, I'm not going to write him off with power like that. And if Joseph Parker is hurting you, if Michael Hunter is hurting you, and they're very good fighters in their respective way, or obviously at heavyweight, they're very good fighters in their own respect. You know, they bring different things to the tables. They're more fundamentally sound than F.A. Ajagba, quite frankly. And quite frankly, I think both are more talented. But in terms of punching power, I would say no. F.A. Ajagba, oh man, he is just levels above those two in terms of punching power. So, and I know against Michael Hunter he was never down, but he was stunned a few times, and he did try and quit in that fight. And again, I don't begrudge a fighter trying to quit, especially if he's an injury. And the fact Billy Nelson wouldn't do it, wouldn't let him, that's a, yeah, you know, I mean, Billy Nelson, there you go. But that's Martin Bacoli's weight. Let me know what you think. Has the weight made you change your perception on this fight or potentially change your pick? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And until next time, people, I will leave it there. Peace.